Hey everybody, it's Mr. Dean here. I want to compare City Skylines 1 to City Skylines 2. And I know some people have said that ain't fair. You can't do it. That Cities 2 is just a kid. Cities 1 has been around for 8 years. All the development, the DLCs, the assets, the mods, the people in wheelchairs that it has, the bicycles. Come on, man, be fair. Give Cities 2 a chance. Well, except that if Cities 2 came from a different publisher, we'd be saying, hey, it's got to go head to head with Cities 1 in terms of who's better. And we'd say right now, Cities 1 beats it hands down in terms of features and community support and, well, stability. That's just the way it is. And again, keep in mind also, when Microsoft upgrades Windows, its biggest competition is not Macintosh or Linux or even mobile. It's previous versions of Windows. The biggest competition to City Skylines 2 is City Skylines 1. If City Skylines 2 wants to become king of the hill, it's got to unseat City Skylines 1. So let's take a look here. We've got to hold the developers accountable. They've got to give us something in Cities 2 that there's no way to provide in Cities 1. Consider a rookie athlete going up against an experienced pro. The pro usually wins. Sometimes there's an upset, but 99% of the time, the pro wins handily. But we look at the rookie, and we don't say he's washed up just because he lost to the pro. We look at that rookie's performance, and we look for sparks of greatness. Sometimes all it is the rookie is just a rookie, and he's going to have a few years under his belt, and he'll be a good, run-of-the-mill player later on, but nothing great. But sometimes we see that rookie play, and we go, wait a minute, did you see what they did right there? Right there, that is an amazing move. This kid's going to be great one day. Just you watch and wait. And we will assume that one day that rookie is going to be the experienced pro, the top player at that position, and just amaze everybody one day. When I was looking for a new city builder back in 2017, I was comparing games to SimCity 4. And I absolutely love SimCity 4. And I desperately avoided SimCity 2013 because SimCity 4 had community support, a vibrant community, and Maxis and EA had done things to SimCity 2013 that just ruined the community. All the modding changed there. It was just ugh. So I wanted a game that was going to be as good as SimCity 4 plus something additional that SimCity 4 would never have. I didn't want to buy SimCity 4 again because, well, I already owned it. And frankly, looking at what I have here on this street corner, people walking by, cars driving by, buildings, custom buildings, that's in SimCity 4. This is not going to cause me to jump out and buy City Skylines. What is going to get me to buy City Skylines? Well, a couple of things. Let me go over here. Curved roads. Oh my gosh. Curved roads. That was amazing stuff there. And then what else was amazing? What's that in the distance? Is that a hill with a smooth gradient? Oh my. It's not looking like a step pyramid. Those are actual slopes. Ooh, sign me up for that because SimCity 4 did not have that thing going on. Oh my gosh. What else can you do for me there? What's this? I could zone along those curved roads as well and create irregular zoning sections to take advantage. Oh, wow. Oh my gosh. Here's my money. I want to buy that. Wait, there's more? Are you telling me I could actually go to a building that I've placed improperly, click it, and go to the relocate building button and move it without deleting it? What? In SimCity, I'd have to delete this thing and build it back again. Here, I just move it? Oh my gosh. And I've already wanted to give you my money. Oh, please. That is what converted me. I looked at the City Skylines gameplay and saw those elements, and I was amazed. That is what was the game changer relative to SimCity 4. Everything else I got in there, but those things made me say I must have City Skylines, and I never looked back. Now, SimCity 4 has an active and vibrant modding community, and so does City Skylines. And that's great to see. And in fact, you look at SimCity 4, mad props and more power to them. They are celebrating 20 years of that game this year. They're still making mods for SimCity 4. That is how vibrant and solid their modding community is. And City Skylines has got something just as rock solid. I love them both, but for me, City Skylines is the king of the hill. Okay, and by the way, you see how the city is running here. It's growing as I talk here. It's almost 15,000 population. You see the cars moving fine. I could zoom in, zoom out. No stuttering, smooth movement. We're not getting any jaggies or skippies or whatever ease. These are all smoothies that I have. Or smoothies? I don't know. Anyway, plenty of trees, plenty of cool stuff, plenty of rendering in the distance. The trees do not look like cutout cardboards or whatever. And what are my graphic settings? I am running widescreen, 1440p, full screen, no VSync. I've got high shadows, high texture, very high detail, very far distance. Whatever this is, I have it enabled. And anti-aliasing, I've got that distance. Maybe I should enable it. I don't know. I just have these settings, and they're running pretty good. Pretty dang good for my city. And I'm comfortable with this performance. In Cities 2, the same hardware I have was just clunking along, and it shouldn't have. It really shouldn't have. But I don't want this to be about performance, because let's say that those are going to get fixed. And the City Skylines 2 buildings, they were really brown and drab, whereas these got some really beautiful colors on them without being comic booky looking. This one here is a bit comical, but I mean, the brick texture on this building, this asset here, I find that wonderful. The roofs over here that are all different, and I can even zoom in and see different kinds of shingles and tiles. Oh, wow. I really enjoy that. There's a lot of same old in Cities 2, and even my asphalt here and the driveway has got a texture to it. It's a flat gray in Cities 2, even on the highest settings. I like this a lot more. But again, that's something that can get fixed pretty easily in Cities 2. And I don't want that to be what this is about. So please, no comments about performance or whatever. That's not the issue. The issue is, does Cities 2 give me something that makes me sit up and take notice, to pay attention to? And let's say that Cities 2 fixes all those issues and they brighten up their buildings and says, alrighty, let's do this. We're going to compete. We're going to put out all the stuff that matches Cities 1 feature for feature and then some. Okay. Well, what is there in Cities 2 that I absolutely do not have in Cities 1? Granted, a modded version of Cities 1. I've got to put that caveat in there, because if you force me to have no mods and no assets in Cities 1, it's looking like if I want cool stuff, I got to go to Cities 2. Especially if you say no DLCs in Cities 1. Like, wait, what? Okay, we'll start the journey over again, but I won't like it. But we're not doing that. I've got Cities 1 the way it is. This is my game with all my mods. I've got over 7,000 assets here. I came to play. And I've got to have something in Cities 2 that, even though Cities 1 beats it now, makes me go, wait a minute, that's going to be a champion one day. And honestly, there's nothing I've seen in Cities 2 that answers that question. I mean, the road tool they have does some things differently than what I got here in Cities 1, but in my modded Cities 1, I've got Traffic Manager and the Network Multi-Tool and the Node Controller, and I've got Bob. These are all things that allow me to do way cool stuff with my roads in Cities 1. And I don't see match for match parity in Cities 2. Or, Cities 2 is doing things a little bit differently with that. And they've also got ways to set up industry and waste management areas that are different. But I look at that as it's essentially, it's the same question. How do I do this? And the answer is slightly different. And I know that in 6 to 9 months, we'll see a DLC for Cities 2 that claims to offer up some elaborate port building. But that's technically the same mechanic that we've seen for industry and campuses and parks and airports in Cities 1 being applied to port areas in Cities 2. And, I'm bummed that the DLC won't happen for Cities 1, but that's not 100% must-have for me. It's still the same old, same old. You're not giving me anything that steps out of the shadow of Cities 1. Now, right now, random building duplication is a problem in both Cities 1 and Cities 2. When we say, hey, go ahead and just zone the area, which is what I've done here. Let me turn it on here. Everything be zoned. If I just let it go, it's going to duplicate buildings like it did here. These two are the same. All right. Well, in Cities 2, I'm stuck with it, and in Cities 1 unmodded, I'm stuck with it. But in modded Cities 1, I get hit pause, then I bulldozer this building, kaboosh. Now I can go to find it, and let me go to an office building, and it looks like this needs to be 3 wide and 4 long. There we go. Now what am I going to put in here? I've already got counts of how many are being used. This one looks like a nice building. Oh, yeah. And that's not being used at all yet. Oh, that fits in perfectly. Boom. Turn that off. Zoom around. And now I got me a nice little office building there that makes good sense. It looks nice. Now, there is that little thing there. Maybe I would rather have this on the other side. I can move it around. Oh, yeah, I sure could move it, because even though you can't move the Rico buildings in this game, I can use the move it tool to drag things around, to line things up. So, well, why not? Take this one, put it over there. Take this one, put it over here, and move it around there. And then I take this and I put it over here, and I'm going to make it fit in. And oh, well, I got to move this one over some more, and then I move this one over a little bit more. And you can see where this is going to wind up eventually. And now, I think that's it. Did I get them all in there just right? Let me turn that off. Now I can hit the... Oh, yeah. That one has got enough room there. That one is just up. They're up against each other close enough for what I consider a comfortable thing. And now I've got that lovely little sign on the edge there. And as for this building, it doesn't quite fit well, so bulldozer it and get the find it tool to put something else in there that's 3x4 that hasn't been used yet. Let me go down here. Ooh, I like this one. Let's go with that. And now I turn that off, and oh yeah, the signs are showing in the right direction. That's what I want there. Okay. So now I unpause it, and there we go. I've used move it and find it. And I don't got those in Cities 2 right now. These to me are going to be deal breakers. If Cities 2 can't give me a move it and a find it, why would I want to go and play a game where I don't have control like I do here? And will it get those mods? Because the modding for Cities 2 is limited to Paradox mods. It will not be on Steam Workshop. They've been adamant about that. And they've also been adamant that the mod needs to work on both console and PC versions. So if Move It and Find It work for PC but they don't work for the console, are we ever going to see those mods come out on the Paradox Workshop? I don't know. And we don't know when that section is going to open up in the Paradox mods. We don't know how it'll be gated. There's a lot of uncertainty there. And by saying there's a lot of uncertainty, there's not a certainty that it will be bad. Maybe it all works out. Maybe these mods will be available. But we just don't know. We don't have them. And I do have them here right now. And because I have them here right now, these are game changers that absolutely put Cities 1 head and shoulders above Cities 2 in terms of gameplay quality. It's just the fact. It's just the fact. Now, I know Cities 2 can expand service buildings, okay, or expand schools. Well, I mean, I've got my high school here, and I added in a football field and a soccer field, or American football field and regular football, for those of you not playing American football. And I've got a baseball field, and I can put a cricket pitch over there. I can expand this campus. I've got library over there. I got a parking lot for all the students to park in over here. I've expanded my campus by hand. I didn't need a tool where things would snap on and click on. I just put them in where I felt they would fit. And that's working fine for me. Again, this is something that with mods and assets, I've got it already in Cities 1, and I don't really need the different way of doing it in Cities 2. In fact, I think I prefer this way. Okay, I do have Harry Potter cars coming out of the parking lot, but just because Cities 2 has everything drive up the ramps doesn't necessarily make it where that's a must-have for me. Oh, jeez, Harry Potter there. It'd be nice, but it's not a must-have. Whereas being able to expand the way I wanted to expand, that is a must-have for me. Well, what else do we have here? In almost every poll I've seen for City Skylines 2, before it was released, people were dreaming about it, saying, what do you want to see in a City Skylines 2? And I remember answering it and seeing the answers for it, and almost every one of us would say, number one, give us a better graphics engine. What we have with Unity, yeah, it's nice, but I need something better. Something better. Ooh, what about Unreal? What if they got a deal with Rockstar and use their engine? We dreamed. Sometimes things that could never possibly happen, but we dreamed all the same. That was one of them. What do we have in Cities 2? We have a graphics engine that is almost identical to the one in Cities 1 in terms of the results we see. I look at the buildings in Cities 2 and I see, basically they've got the same way of doing textures and pixels and triangles and vertices and stuff. I get the similar results. And again, with performance issues, I got to crank it all down and it looks jaggier. But even on the maximum settings, when I was running it at max and just doing a still shot, I was not getting anything better than what I see here. It would be, to me, as good as, and some people say it is better, but I would think it looks like it's marginally better to some people, and to others it's marginally worse or much worse. Well, whatever it is, it ain't a huge difference. It's not a night and day. It's more like, I paid money for this? This is all the change I get? So, yeah, they didn't give us the graphics engine. Another big ask, like, what do you want for in City Skyline 2? Give us multiplayer capability! Yeah, I want to build a city with my friends and not have to swap a file, but do it online. We're networked like it's in Hearts of Iron 4 or Europa Universalis or CrowdStrike or whatever. I don't know. Okay, well, we don't have multiplayer in City Skylines 2. That didn't happen. So we don't have that. Then the other thing we asked for was, some of us really cool players were saying, well, actually give us increased limits on citizens and vehicles and intersections so we can truly build out those larger cities without having those limits constrain us. All right, so what that meant was, if you filled up an entire map thinking, oh boy, I'll just grid everything and zone everything and let it boom, before you even got to gridding everything, you ran out of intersections for your roads. Unless you really made distances between intersections huge. And then you weren't really filling up the map. What we've had games where we've played it, the city gets big enough, and then suddenly it runs out of vehicles. Because it's counting parked cars. So you have to put a mod in there that deletes all the parked cars, so you can still have more vehicles running, but that looks kind of weird. And you're doing these little fudges to get past a limit in the game that breaks things. Because when you run out of vehicles, you don't get any more fire vehicles or police vehicles or trash vehicles, and things pile up. You have to keep vehicles going. Anyway, more limits. From what I can tell, that's not in the game either. I could be wrong, but I haven't seen anything in a dev diary saying, and now we're going to have this many more citizen units in the game. If I'm wrong, please let me know. I would love to be wrong on that. But if I'm not wrong, well, there we are. We don't get the game changer that we asked for. None of those three things actually happened in Cities 2. So, with a graphics engine that's practically the same and no multiplayer and no increased limits, there's nothing in Cities 2 that makes me sit up and pay attention like the differences Cities 1 had over the SimCity line. So right now, Cities 2 is chasing Cities 1 for feature parity, and I know not everything in Cities 1 was available at the start. These bike lanes, that was a later addition. The ability to go to an intersection, like over here, and just go there and click on that, and click on junctions, and turn on stop signs, and stoplights, and all that cool stuff like that. That came later. That wasn't at the beginning of the game. And those are really important parts. A lot of people think turning off your traffic lights are very important in the game. So yeah, it definitely was a game that had to grow. And Cities 2 is, I understand it's going to be a game that has to grow as well. But it's right now growing in the shadow of Cities 1. And Cities 1 has loads of features that Cities 2 doesn't even have. And once we start looking at the mods, wow, it's even more overwhelming. Right now, Cities 2 is chasing Cities 1 for feature parity. It's on the field getting beaten by Cities 1 in terms of what it offers up for a fun, immersive city building experience, and nowhere is it showing flashes of brilliance that give hints as to how it will one day be at the top. I'd love for time to prove me wrong, but a slightly different road tool and different ways of doing waste management areas for your... no, that doesn't cut it for me. I'm not going to buy the same game in DLC all over again just because it's got a 2 in the title. I'm not doing that. So until Cities 2 does something that's earth-shaking, I'm going to enjoy Cities 1 with the Move It tool, the Find It tool, and the Tree Line tool, and the Traffic Manager President Edition, and the Network Multi-tool, and Bob, and Render It, and the Advanced Vehicle options, and Network Anarchy, and Prop Control, and Tree Control, and the Transfer Controller, and yeah, the 7,000 assets that I've downloaded to play within my cities. Your mileage may vary, and I hope everyone finds happiness and fun with what they choose to do, because life is too short to spend time being frustrated with computer games that you don't like. But for me, if you want Cities 2 to be on my shelf again, Paradox, Colossal Order, all you developers, take notice. You've got to do something earth-shaking with it. You've got to give me a feature that I don't already have in this game with its mods. You find that feature, you find that game kill, you find a way to do story mode where we could have a huge scenario that does all kinds of weird things and takes turns that I didn't expect, and it's like kind of role-playing game meets City Skylines. You find a story mode, that'll make me take notice. But right now, I got nothing. It's chasing features. Again, I hope you all find happiness and peace in what you do, and I'll see you next time playing City Skylines 1.